The work of Dr. Joe Dispenza has changed millions of people's lives all across the world. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 of his biggest takeaways and simplify them so that you can better understand and implement the power of his work into your own life, so that you can start creating the changes that you really want to make and experiencing the life you really want to live. So let's dive in. Now, the first takeaway is going to be the fact that nothing in your life can change unless you do. Now hear me out, because when I first heard this, I found it incredibly annoying and basically wanted to flip the table. But in accepting this and seeing the truth of it, you actually gain power and have the ability then to make changes in your life. Now, in the words of Dr. Joe, this would be your electromagnetic signature. And what the hell does that mean? Well, I basically created this amazing piece of artwork to help you visually see that. I've put the little lines as your thoughts and the triangles as your feelings. So the thoughts and the feelings and the actions, that's going to be your unique electromagnetic signature. You're going to send that out in the universe. No objections and no bias. It's going to say, okay, here's the equal energetic back to you. It's going to send you people, situations, and circumstances that match this. Again, if you're like me, I spent so much of my time being frustrated or feeling stuck or being mad at different things that were happening to me, which made me feel powerless. And when I felt powerless, it made me feel hopeless, because I was waiting for the outside to change, not realizing that the real source of change was me and my energy. Now, some of you out there might be thinking, well, I don't think bad thoughts. I make sure that if I have a negative thought, I push it away and I get it out of there, and then I replace it with a good thought. What you got to understand is that this energy, this electromagnetic signature, also includes the energy of your unconscious. And Carl Jung said that until you make conscious what is unconscious, it's going to dictate your life, and you'll call it fate. So you're going to be sending out this energy, get that echo of it, and say, what in the world? Why do I keep finding these people who treat me like trash? Why do I keep never having enough money and barely able to scrape by? So the major thing to even start to comprehend and really accept is that you have the power to change it, because it is coming from you. You are the source, and you're seeing the effects or the echo or the reverb of this energy in your outside circumstances. Now, this isn't to say that if somebody is treating you really poorly and being abusive that you deserve it. This is not about deserving. This is about ideas, concepts you hold to be true about yourself. You're holding on to them. We're going to dive even deeper into this a little bit later. Just start to understand that if you want to see a change in your outside life, you're going to have to change the source of where it's coming from, which is your electromagnetic signature, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions that you're taking right now. Now, the second takeaway is the idea that you are not who you think you are. Meaning that you're not your current personality, because your personality is how you think, how you feel, and how you behave in the world. And really, your personality, until you become more conscious, is actually coping mechanisms. And again, hear me out. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean and how this happens, because when I first heard this, I was like, the hell, I am not me. How dare you tell me who I am? Me I know is me. That is how I was born. However, I'm going to show you why that might not be the case. And when you start to accept this, maybe you start to see the truth of, okay, maybe that actually is real, then you can start to let go and be who you truly are at the soul level. So if when you were growing up, you had a caretaker who they could have told you, you're not good enough. Why are you doing that? You're such a waste. You're such a burden, right? Or maybe they just never connected with you. Maybe if you wanted a toy or something that you really needed at a deeper level, something you actually needed, you wanted to connect, you wanted to feel loved, and they said, what have you done? You're worthless. You're not good enough. Or maybe they just ignored you entirely. You could have taken away that you're worthless. Now realize the context of the situation, meaning that this happened between birth and 6 years old. You had caretakers who in your mind knew better than you, because you did not have the complex thinking. You did not have a high functioning brain because it was still developing. So you say, okay, this caretaker knows best, because if they don't know best, my life depends on it, I'm screwed. So you put that trust, that faith, that hope that they can basically keep you alive. Now, under that umbrella of they know best is the emotional part. Now, emotionally, if they had their own wounds, which is massive probability that that was the case, and if they didn't do their healing because of whatever their circumstances were, they're not bad people, but hurt people hurt people. So they could have taken some of the stuff out on you. Or maybe they just didn't have the emotional awareness or maturity to understand you were a child and to meet those needs. So again, you were in these situations, you thought, oh, okay, and it could have been what you perceived. I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, they would connect. If I was good enough, they would want to see what the little painting I drew in school, whatever it was. So you reasoned, oh, it's because I'm not enough, because they know best. And since they treat me this way, it must be me. I'm the one at fault. Now, one thing you might experience now, you're like, oh no, I know everything that happened in my childhood, it doesn't affect me now. But if you're a people pleaser, if you consistently have to explain yourself, or you want to go out of your way to give something to somebody, or if you find yourself being the emotional caretaker of everyone around you, those aren't bad things. However, they could be coping mechanisms of how you get your worth. So your response, your behavior, your action in the world now is a direct reflection of what you felt like when you were a kid. So those unconscious dynamics are driving those thoughts and those feelings, and ultimately the actions on how you're being in the current moment. And what do we say in step 1? Whoever you are being, you're sending that out, that energy out, and you're going to get a reflection. You're going to keep finding people who need to be taken care of, because you feel that if you don't take care of them, then they're going to leave you. If you feel that if you don't explain it and make sure that you're accepted by this person, you're going to be abandoned. But that's the dynamic of your past. In Dr. Joe's work, he talks all about how to meditate and let go of this idea, starting to create space. But awareness, and especially the work of Neville Goddard, he talked about awareness and how important it is, the power of awareness. And awareness he describes as a light in a dark room. You don't know what you don't know. And when you do know, you can do better choices, how to take care of yourself in a better, higher functioning capacity. Maybe you grew up in this and you don't feel enough, so you outperform everybody current day. You do the best. You have to be better than that person. Maybe you're really high functioning at work, but in relationships, you keep finding rejection. So this high functioning, not good enough dynamic could be really good for work and money, but you still feel empty and that you're trying to fight this. And again, it's not the truth of you. That's why I want you to really understand that the you who you think you are, oh, I have to be number one. I'm just naturally competitive. Oh, I just love to caretake people. Maybe part of you does. But if part of you is doing it because of the energy of the past, the you who you are is a response to early on wounds, and it's causing you to think, feel, and act in a way that's not the truth of yourself. So when you can start to just see, oh, hang on a second. Okay, yeah, maybe that's not my inclination. I say this as a recovering people pleaser. I thought I was just a naturally really helpful person, and I can be. However, so much of my life, I found myself saying no to me and what I really needed so that I could say yes, because it was being sourced from I don't feel I'm enough or worthy unless that person says yes and accepts me. And in the meantime, I keep rejecting myself. So if I keep sending rejection out to the universe, guess what I kept getting? Rejection, because I was doing it to myself first. And as I started to see that that was not me, that was based on old programs, old conditionings, old experiences, that I no longer gave permission for that to be me anymore. And so then I could shift my electromagnetic signature, shift the way I felt myself, shift the way I saw myself, and start to be differently, and therefore get a different reflection back in my reality. Now, the last takeaway that I want to talk about from the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza is that the key to everything, the key to change, the key to really tapping into the power of you, your soul, not your personality, the key to it all is introspection. What does that mean? Introspection basically is your ability to see yourself, not to judge, to observe yourself, your thoughts and your emotional processes. So if something happens in your outside world, and in my experience, it was all about rejection, romantic rejection, I would perceive or assign a meaning as to why somebody was treating me a certain way. So when they didn't respond to a text, when they didn't go out of their way and bring me something, whatever the case may be, I put a meaning as to why that was happening. Oh, they must not really like me. Maybe they're going to leave me. And I put in all of these things that stemmed from my early on beliefs of myself, which I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy. So I was projecting those onto the current moment. But when I started to use introspection, I started to become aware of the story in the current moment and start to tap into the power of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reconform itself and to stop firing and stop wiring in that old wounded way, stop being that same personality and realize, oh, I'm starting to reject myself right now. I'm assuming that that person said no because I'm not good enough. They don't really like me. If they liked me, they would have said yes. But when I started to become aware of, oh, that's me rejecting myself. The only one who's making it personal is me. I don't know. Maybe they can't go or they didn't ask because they got something emotional in their life. And when I started to see that and started to just have that little space because of introspection, because I started to become aware of my thoughts and my emotional processes that were happening inside, it gave me space. And when I had that space, I then gave myself a chance to make a new choice, start to regulate my nervous system. Oh, okay, I'm really starting to get anxious here. I'm feeling rejected. I'm rejecting myself again. Okay, I gotta watch my nervous system because it's gonna wanna go back retrograde. It's gonna wanna go back to when I was a little kid and I felt scared and nervous and I wanted to connect and I felt that I was powerless to get that connection that I needed. I'm safe here. Okay, how can I stay with me and do my duty, which is to take care of myself in that moment? When I started to do this, I started to fire and wire in a new way. And Dr. Joe, this is a lot of times when he talks about mental rehearsal, spending time, unplugged from that old personality, that old program, practicing in your body. Feelings are so important. Neville Goddard says the secret is in the feeling, because the feeling and the sensation level helps your body to get on board with this new creation of you. So your body getting tapped in is also allowing your subconscious does not listen to words. It listens through sensation. So when you start to communicate with your subconscious, you start to change that, the old thoughts, the old beliefs, the old way of staying safe, which I talked more about in part 2, that's when your entire life can change. And the reason why is because you start using introspection, start becoming aware of the thoughts, start becoming aware of the stories and the meanings that you're injecting into your life. You would be shocked, and you will be shocked. Shock yourself into using the power of this, because something that became so automatic, so just impulsive to assume rejection, when you start to really look at it and say, whoa, what do I really know here? And if they did reject me or they don't want to be a part of this, what story or meaning am I putting? That this person's acceptance is the definition of my value? Okay, maybe they don't like me. Okay, I know that there are a lot of people out there who will love and value and appreciate what I have to offer. But if I put a value on their rejection and I start feeling the feelings of the past, I will stay in the past. Only when I start connecting to the energy of my future, and a major part of this is what story you're telling, do you give yourself the ability to start shifting that energy, start becoming aware of what you're thinking about and feeling, and start realizing that you're so much greater than the you who you think you are. But all of this will become impossible if you don't get to the level of your subconscious. This next video right here is going to show you exactly how you can start commanding your subconscious, so check it out.